Hello. I wanted to spend just a short time talking about if the market is efficient in terms of allocating scarce resources. In the first week of the course, we talked about that economics is a study of how we allocate scarce resources. We talked about different systems to be able to do that. And the system that we identified and the one which we studied as having the most likely ability to allocate scarce resources in an efficient way is the market system. Market is made up of buyers and sellers. We also recognize that in our economy in the United States, our market system also has another player, and that is the government. The government will often play a role in terms of regulating the market and how it works. We want to identify an efficient market, and what two of the words that we use to identify that is it allocatively efficient and is it productively efficient? Allocative efficiency means that consumers are able to obtain the goods and services that are of most value to them. Productive efficiency means that consumers obtain goods and services at the least cost. Now we talked about different types of market structures. We talked about pure competition at one end of the spectrum. We identified the characteristics of pure competition, where they're basically price takers. An individual firm takes the price that's given to them in terms of the industry. They have a standardized product. There are many sellers and the barriers to entry are low. And then we looked at the other end of the spectrum where competition is very limited. We took a look at a monopoly where we said there's one seller. It's a unique product. There are high barriers to entry, and they set the price. They are price makers. As we take a look at these two ends of the spectrum, we would expect that in terms of allocating scarce resources, the more efficient way would be when there is more competition. And then we have models for pure competition. We recognize that in the model for pure competition, all of the firms in the industry create the total demand and supply within the industry. And then we recognize that there are individual firms in the industry. We have a model for those individual firms. The curves that we use in terms of identifying that model are the demand curve, and we recognize that the demand curve is a horizontal line. Why? Because they are a price taker. They take the price that is given to them by the industry, supply and demand. The equilibrium price then becomes the price for our firm, and we also recognize that the demand equals the price and also equals the marginal revenue curve. And then we want to identify where this firm in pure competition will operate. What will be the quantity that they will bring to the market in order to maximize profit? And we talked about the profit maximizing rule is that they will produce the quantity where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. In the short run, what the firm hopes to have happen is that that price, where that price equals marginal cost, will be at a point that is above the average total cost curve, in which case they would be earning economic profit. Now here's where it gets interesting, because if a firm in pure competition in the short run is earning economic profit because of the structure of the firms in pure competition, other firms will begin to enter the industry. Now the market begins to get dynamic. As other firms enter the industry, we see the supply curve will shift to the right. As a result of that supply curve shifting to the right, we will end up with a new equilibrium price. Now the new equilibrium price is lower. So now the demand curve shifts down, and we can see that what starts happening is that the economic profit begins to diminish. As a result of this dynamic in terms of the market, we can anticipate what will happen where there's a lot of competition in the long run. So that we recognize that in a dynamic market, demand will be shifting either to the right or to the left. Supply will be shifting either to the right or to the left. And as a result of that, that equilibrium price will be changing. But here's what's important to understand. Even though that equilibrium price is changing, that rational firm in pure competition will try to always maximize their profit. They will be maximizing their profit where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, or the same thing where price equals marginal cost. And as a result of that, in the long run, we have some things that will be happening. We recognize that price equals marginal cost, and we identify now an equation that says this is allocated efficiency, meaning that buyers will get what they want because producers will respond to what consumers are making in terms of their choices in the marketplace. We also recognize that in the long run, that costs are going to be coming down in order to be competitive. And so in the long run, all economic profit will get squeezed out. So again, in the long run, we have this equality where price equals the minimum of average total cost. Price equals the minimum of average total cost. We recognize that as being productive efficiency, meaning that costs, there's always going to be pressure on cost because of the amount of competition in a competitive marketplace. And as a result of that, there will be zero economic profit. Now, that doesn't mean that a firm is not earning accounting profit. We have recognized the difference between accounting profit and economic profit. So in the long run, this is the model in the long run, and we recognize that those firms will be earning accounting profit. Now, this is the best scenario in terms of efficiency. We've also talked about monopolistic competition and oligopoly. That's imperfect competition, but that's where we buy most of our products, in firms that would be categorized as monopolistic competition and firms that are oligopoly. Now, in those firms, they also have long-run situations, but in those situations, the price will be greater than marginal cost and price will be greater than average total cost. Monopoly is at the other end of the spectrum, and again, price will be greater than marginal cost and price will be greater than the minimum of average total cost. We don't usually buy our products in pure competition. We don't usually buy our products in monopoly. But these two models at one end of the spectrum help us to understand the importance of competition in the marketplace and how that competition provides allocated efficiency and productive efficiency. Hence, answering our question that we had in the very beginning of the course, is the market efficient in terms of allocating scarce resources? I'll let you make that decision yourself. Thanks for listening.